You believe they lent me another pair of speakers? This is fun. It's just going to be a little first impression video on these bookshelves. They're Lyric Riverside 8. So Lyric is the brand, Riverside 8 is the model. I think they will sell in the $2,000 range. I'm not sure. They're currently for sale on the European Lisong website, but they're coming to the Canadian site as well. I don't know about the US. When I look at the US site, I don't see them yet, so I don't know. No idea. So they're bookshelf speakers. They use the Lisong Fast 8 driver, which I'm very familiar with because I have that driver in my open baffles wall in my Frankenstein open baffles, where I was trying 2 full range drivers in parallel, which, by the way, I think I'm going to move away from. It's fun. It was good. But after having recently heard the Leonidas, having heard the Origin speakers, I'll talk about it more in detail when I do my next baffle video, but there's a precision in the imaging that I kind of realized is not as good when you're doing 2 full drivers. And I guess it's because there's comb filtering going on, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, back to these Lyric Riverside 8. They are 93 dB efficient, very easy to drive. Every amplifier I've tried drives them no problem. But interestingly, though, they bring out the character in the amplifier you use. I'll talk about that in a minute. What was the other spec back here? Yeah, so there's no crossovers in these. It's just straight wire to the driver, like a good single full range should be. They're front ported, so you could put them up against the wall. But let's just say it's not I don't think that's much of an issue. Why I say that? So in my room, for me, their sweet spot without a subwoofer was about 4 feet away, 3.5, 4 feet away from my wall, as opposed to my usual 6 to 6.5 feet away from the wall. With a subwoofer, I much prefer them 6 to 6.5 feet away from the wall. Like many bookshelves, they disappear, man. They make a gorgeous soundstage. These, I felt the images behind them. Some things have a tendency, some things will come out and be just roughly at the same level as the speaker's position, but mostly I'm hearing things behind them. The speaker sounds very, god damn, I can't believe I want to say this, sounds very neutral. Like I said, their character changed a lot depending on the amplifier I used to drive them. I used the Wilsonton R300, cool amp by the way. Used my Melody 211, delicious. Used the my 300B Wellborn monoblocks with a Melody preamp, it was amazing. Also used it with the SK2 DHT integrated amplifier. That's my buddy's amplifier's prototype that should be coming to market in the next year. That's the amplifier that costs the price of a Lexus. Anyways, I think it will. I don't know what the end price is going to be. Amazing. Speaker scaled with all of these amplifiers. They all sounded different. Also tried it with a big solid state Class A. Also sounded great. The only thing I didn't try these with was with a high wattage solid state amplifier. So I tried from 6 watts all the way to 30 watts. 30 watts being the Class A solid state, and everything else was in between. So I was listening to these speakers, and I was talking to a friend of mine in Toronto, which is also the person who lent me the speakers to try. And I was telling him how great they sounded, how they were very, very realistic in terms of people's voices, in terms of acoustic instruments, but they had a typical bookshelf feel, in the sense that in the low end, well, the low end was not really there. So if you played orchestral things, rock, on any genre, there's that low end that was missing. You do get it as you get them closer to the wall, like a little bit comes out. There's spec to say that they go down to 40 hertz. In my room, they don't go down to 40 hertz. They really don't. But when you use them with a subwoofer, gorgeous, just gorgeous. So if you don't have subwoofers, you can back them up against your wall. They will give you a little bit more bass. However, you're going to lose a lot of that three-dimensionality in the soundstage that you get with them when they're pulled away from the wall, at least 3.5 feet from the wall, at least. And but I was very convinced, no matter what amplifier I used, when someone starts to sing, wow, very convinced, very pulled in. It's just the low end that's missing. But then Armando sent me. He tested out their room response in his room. Have a look at these graphs. First one is without a subwoofer. You can see that there's a sharp drop off under 100 hertz. And that makes sense to me. That's kind of what I'm hearing. So you don't have the oomph of the bottom of the piano. You don't have the weight of the bass, of the cello, of the drums. Now look at this graph paired with a REL subwoofer in his room on a frequency response. Wow. Wow. That's impressive. So of course I hooked up my subs to try it out. And they came alive. They really did. My favorite amps to listen to them definitely was the SK2, then the Melody. But they're expensive. They're up there. When I try them with the Wilsonton or my little 300B monoblocks, you didn't have as much separation, and the tone was a little bit different. As you did with the higher end amplifiers. But romance, you got the romance, really romantic sound, very, very luscious mids, not rolled off highs, just highs that are detailed, enough sparkle, but balanced with the mids, completely balanced with the mids. So that was wonderful to listen to. And paired with a subwoofer or two, they do all genres. Was happy listening to everything. Under 90 decibel. So that's my caveat with them is, if you want to go really loud, if you're someone who wants loud music, you're not looking at stuff like this anyways. Like, let's be realistic here. You want to listen to concert level rock, you're not looking at bookshelves. You're not looking at full range drivers. No. You're looking at big hulking Tectons or Wilsons or Bowers and Wilkins, or I don't know. You got to know where your sweet spot is. And this stuff of comments that people are like, "Oh, good speaker shit." I assume that's how they sound like. That's what their voice sound like. I give all of you voices in your comments. Maybe one day I'll grab a few fun comments and show you guys what voices I have in my head. You guys. So, anyways. People are like, oh, a good speaker should always, perform well on all kinds of genres of music. Nope. Sorry. Never seen it. It's a matter of perception, though. Sure, if you've never experienced high-end, refined, crazy expensive sound systems, you're going to be content and happy and thinking that your speakers do everything right. And can I tell you, if that's where you are, stay there. Don't go listen to high-end stuff. Oh, next thing you know, you're going to start a YouTube channel.
Really? Can you feel the tension?
Anyways. No speakers do everything right. No, they don't. Some speakers do things okay across the spectrum. But once you hear true magic stereo imaging and pinpoint placement and soundstage to the point where you really feel like, there's no sound coming out of speakers, you are in the presence of an instrument or a singer, then you'll realize, okay, when you're talking at that level, no speaker does everything perfectly. Well, mind you, things that are over $100,000 a pair, I hope they do everything right. I think that's why people will buy those, so that you get that magic level effect on no matter what the genre. I'm sure that is. I'd have to ask Jay's Audio Lab, because he's got, $750,000 system. Well, goes between $250,000 and $750,000 system here and there. So, yeah, I bet his system does all kinds. Anyways, so the lyric does most genre justice. Pair them with a subwoofer. Oh man, when you pair them with a subwoofer, that full range effect, beautiful. You live in a condo, you got a smaller listening room, a small to medium listening room, casual living room, for nice, chill, relaxing music while you're having a little glass of wine on Friday nights after a long week at work. Just romantic. Even my wife agreed. And she knows what the F she's talking about. No, she does. She's got a good ear. And she knows music more than I do. So with the 300B, you got nice soundstage. Separation is a little fuzzy, but I think I'm hearing that because I'm comparing it to much higher end amplifiers. It's normal. But if you get a Wilsonton R300 and you don't have a $50,000 amplifier that you're comparing it with, you won't notice. Kind of like you walk into the store, right, and you want to buy a new TV. The best looking TV in the store is always going to be that $12,000 OLED, for sure. They're all side by side. When you get home, they're not side by side anymore. Surprising that a TV that looked mediocre in the store, when I got home, hooked it up, calibrated it, looked pretty damn good. And I didn't spend $12,000. Anyways, keep that in mind. So, yeah, so with the Wilsonton R300, very, very satisfying mid-range. Just enough sparkle on the top end to give you that sense of air, but you're not going to get that sense of separation like you would with a much higher end amplifier. But then again, these are attainable bookshelf speakers and give a heck of a good performance for the value, and they scale. So yeah, when I tried it with the Melody 211, everything cranks up a notch. It was like removing four layers of curtains in front of the speakers compared to the Wilsonton. Sure, it's $10,000 amp, different kind of tubes. The 211 tubes with these, whoa, delicious. 211 tubes with full range drivers, for me, I love it. I just love it. They excel in the mid range. The detail and textures that you get out of all the instruments, and the spatial cues that these full range drivers pull out is just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. They gave just a little bit more of a kick with the solid state Class A, just a little bit, not that much more. Kind of felt almost as airy actually too, and as spacious as with the Melody 211. Yeah, I gotta say, Thomas screwed me up last time he was here and brought that little prototype Class A amplifier that he's working on to bring to market. Made me question my love for tubes for a few minutes there. Anyway, yeah, but when I hook it up with a really high-end amplifier, then I got the feel of instrument presence in the room, especially if I had a sub. With a sub, well, a guitar sounds amazing, violin sounded amazing, but all the stand-up bass, cello, drums, and piano needs a sub with these to sound convincing and realistic. And something that was interesting is that the SK2 amplifier that uses 845 tubes, I can choose on that amplifier to set the microamps on the tubes to either 70, 80, or 90. 90 is pushing it. Like the tubes are running. Like it creates a tone density in the sound that you don't hear on most tube amplifiers. It is very dense sound, and for some types of tracks, it's just unbeatable. You feel those that ivory in the piano hitting the wood. Like it's amazing, and that's how usually I prefer it with this amp. But with these, I found it made the top end a little too aggressive, so I took the tubes down to 80 microamps. And then it just became balanced and beautiful. All the tones flowed through the room. The voices just hung in the air. There's decay. It maintains the decay if you want it to. Mind you, maybe it's because of the extra choke that I have on the rectifier for the DAC that I'm using right now. That's probably what's helping that. But yeah, overall, pretty damn good, man. Pretty damn good. I'm just pushing these out here because they're going to be at the Toronto show. Come check them out. Maybe we'll see you guys there.